Skopje is the capital of North Macedonia. With just over 500,000 residents, it's a hodgepodge of cultures such as Albanian and Slavic, as well as Turkish influences. We're in the city of Skopje, capital of the country of Macedonia. And if you know your history, this is where Alexander the Great comes from, one of the great military commanders in history. He conquered the Persian Empire and large parts of Asia in around the 4th century BC. Skopje was always a very important trade route between East and West, lying where it does in the Balkans. So it was a very important rest stop for these long caravans that would trade goods between Europe and Asia. It was under Ottoman rule from 1392 until 1912, and in 1912 the Serbs annexed it briefly right before World War I started. After World War I, it was folded into the country of Yugoslavia, along with other countries like Croatia, Serbia, Kosovo, Slovenia, Bosnia, and they formed Yugoslavia. In 1963, there was a massive earthquake here in Skopje that destroyed a ton of the city. A lot of people were killed, a lot of people were injured and made homeless, and a ton of historical buildings were destroyed. That's a very important part of Skopje's history. In 1991, they were able to separate from Yugoslavia and gain their independence in a peaceful way. Nowadays, I should note that the country's official name is actually North Macedonia. And the reason is because of tensions with Greece. I mentioned Alexander the Great earlier. Greeks love him, and they want to claim him. Now, he was Greek-speaking, but he came from the geographical region of what is historically known as Macedonia. He was born in Pella, which is still in current-day Greece. But that name Macedonia is supposed to be, according to them, tied to Greece. So they don't like that another country is claiming Macedonia, because indirectly they're kind of claiming one of their most famous and revered heroes. So Macedonia currently wants to get into the European Union. This is 2022 right now. Greece, of course, is already in the European Union. So Greece is able to kind of dictate the terms of Macedonia's entrance into the EU. And one of the terms was that they had to stop calling themselves Macedonia and put the name North Macedonia. They also made them change their flag. The original red kind of sun flag that they used was a little bit too much like the historical Greek Macedonian flag. The Greeks didn't like that, so they had to change it. And there's also a little bit of more tension around Alexander the Great, which we'll see right now. The statue behind me is called the Great Warrior. It's implied that that is Alexander the Great. It's called the Great Warrior and not just Alexander the Great because there's a problem. The Greeks nowadays don't like that the Macedonians claim him. So a little controversy there. Officially, it's the Great Warrior, but we all know who it really is. Regardless of who claims who, there's still a lot of reverence for Alexander the Great, as well as for his mother Olympia, seen here with a baby Alexander, and his father Philip of Macedon. Alright, we're here in the old Bazaar, in the old town of Skopje, and this is one of the oldest marketplaces in Europe. It's been open since around the 12th century, and this is where you can feel the most Ottoman/Turkish influence.
And it looks like the Grand Bazaar in Istanbul. It's very Turkish.
Yeah, definitely. You can see a lot of Turkish restaurants here, a lot of gold shops, like you can see behind me.
A lot of gold.
A lot of gold, yeah, that's very Turkish.
A lot of beautiful jewelry.
Yeah, absolutely. Definitely a must-see when you come to Skopje. Wow. Yeah. It's a lot of jibap. All right, so this is a shopska salad. It's got white cheese, olives, cucumbers, and tomatoes. This is kebab. It looks like shivap to me, which is common around the Balkans. But here they call it kebab. Maybe it's the same thing, I don't know. These are some spicy peppers that I'm gonna burn myself on. This is a pretty common dish here. It's beans, basically. It's just a bean-based dish. And then we've got some traditional bread as well. Traditional water, so we're set. The old bazaar in Skopje is basically a massive labyrinth of shops, restaurants, bars, and coffee houses. You can just walk around and discover stuff every day. We found this nice Turkish-style cafe, the Ottoman Cafe. We highly recommend it. Very cool place. Being a very multi-ethnic and multi-religious city, Skopje's Old Bazaar has old churches alongside old mosques. You can see the minarets next to the church towers and hear the church bells alongside the Islamic call to prayer. Oh, it's such a hot day. What am I gonna do? What am I gonna do? ¿Qué tal? Skopje's Old Bazaar is a great place to just walk around and hang out. To be honest, you could just walk around for hours and just visit new shops, go down different streets. You won't get bored of it easily. And if you've ever been to Turkey, you will feel pretty at home in this place. Also, there's some pretty good museums worth checking out. The old Skopje Bazaar Museum is really cool. It's free entrance, and if you've got like 20 minutes or 30 minutes to kill, it's definitely worth it. The Museum of Macedonia was okay. Entrance was free, but there wasn't a whole lot to see, at least not when I went there. The Museum of the Macedonian Struggle was definitely my favorite museum. It was a couple of bucks to enter. You could definitely spend at least an hour there. It does a great job of telling the history of Macedonia's struggle for independence from various different empires throughout the centuries. I wasn't that impressed with the archaeological museum, to be honest. It was a couple of dollars to enter. I spent maybe half an hour there. It's not great. I mean, there's cool old ceramic pots and stuff, I guess, but it's not super impressive. All right, I'm here at the Skopje City Museum, which is that building with the clock behind me. That clock's time is not correct, and the reason is that in 1963, during the big earthquake, it was frozen, it was damaged, and that's the exact time that the earthquake hit. Unfortunately, I haven't been able to go into the museum. Both days I've come here, it's been closed when it should be open, but I at least wanted to show you that little fact. Skopje Castle is definitely a must-see. It's got some great views overlooking the old city, and entrance is free. You could spend probably, I'd say at least an hour there. Again, great views and nice open green spaces in the middle of the castle. Crossing one of the many bridges over the Vardar River from the old town to the new town, you're going to see statues everywhere. And this is another dimension of Skopje that makes it definitely a very unique city and well worth the visit.
Everything you said we already knew, more or less. Well, here's something that you didn't know.
There's statues everywhere here. There's dozens of them. As you walk around, you'll see statue after statue after statue after statue. And to top it all off, you see these red double-decker London buses from London, brought in decades ago, all over the streets that are just part of their public transportation system now. There's a lot of ethnic Albanian heritage in Skopje, and one of the most famous Albanians, Mother Teresa, was born and raised here.
So this is the site of the original house of Mother Teresa's family, where she was born and where she grew up. Just to illustrate the ethnic and religious diversity of Skopje, she was a Catholic Albanian. So.
Matka Canyon is definitely worth the trip if you want to get out into some nature. It's not far from Skopje, maybe half an hour by bus. Just go to the Skopje city bus terminal and you can get there for like €1. There's hiking, kayaking, lots to do there. You don't really need more than a few hours, to be honest, in the actual canyon, but it's definitely worth it if you've got a little bit of extra time. There's some good restaurants, cool scenery. I'd say it's worth it.
De aquí, de Skopje. De Skopje. ¿Y dónde aprendiste español? De telenovelas. De telenovelas.
Esto nos pasó muchas veces. Conocíamos a alguien que hablaba español y nosotros preguntábamos cómo aprendieron español y casi siempre decían viendo telenovelas latinas cuando yo era niño
¿Cuál
o
es tu
niña.
telenovela favorita?
Muchas novelas, pero La Gata es de mi favorita.
La Gata. Esa es mexicana. ¿Y conoces más personas de aquí que hablan español por telenovelas?
Conocí mucho amiga mía, mi
Amigas
marido,
tuyas. ¿También habla español?
un poco, pero
Qué bueno, gracias.
de nada.
La gente que conocimos en Skopje es muy amable, como
¿Por qué la
Enes,
gente
por
debe
ejemplo.
venir a Skopje?
Debe venir porque tenemos muchos historia, tenemos muchos monumentos, amables personas, buena comida, restaurantes, también lugares donde puedes visitar, quedarte como unos días camping. Tenemos bien montaña, tenemos muchas fortalezas que están muy lindas, y también tenemos la historia turca porque ellos fueron aquí como
¿Desde?
500.
Desde hace 500 años.
Sí, exacto, hay muchas costumbres llegaron de allá. Entonces, el Balcán, si te vas, totalmente estoy recomendando que visitas Skopje.
What's your overall opinion of this place?
Overall, I think Skopje is an amazing city, very unique, lots to offer, lots to do and see, and it's definitely a hidden gem that you have to come see. We almost didn't come here just because we didn't know anything about North Macedonia or Skopje. Now that we're here, it's probably our favorite city in East Europe, in the Balkans.
How much time would you recommend spending here?
Like 4 days, Probably a full week would be good.
How are the people?
The people are really friendly, as we've just seen. They love to talk to you, they love to help.
They love to speak Spanish too.
Yeah, that's right. I saw that.
Is it safe and clean?
From what we've seen, now we're only in the touristy areas, so we can't speak for the whole city, but it's very safe and very clean. They don't seem on edge here, like you might see in some other countries where crime is a lot more prevalent.
How is traffic and public transportation?
The public transportation is really good. The buses that we've used have been really good. Taxi from the bus station to the old Bazaar is a couple of dollars, like $2, maybe $3. There doesn't seem to be a whole lot of really heavy traffic here.
How expensive is it?
Pretty affordable. We stayed in a hostel for like $18 a night for a private room. That was in Miquitos, Hostel Miquitos, near the old Bazaar.
Do they accept credit cards?
Most places I think accept credit cards, but it's always good to ask before you order if you only have credit card, because some places only take cash. But again, there's ATMs everywhere, so it's not a huge deal.
What are some day trips you can take from here?
Matka Canyon's the best day trip that we saw. Again, just like half an hour away by bus, real cheap to get there. You only need a couple hours to actually be in the canyon.
What are some negative things about this place?
I think kind of the same problem as in Kosovo. There's a lot of children asking for money in the streets, which is never good because it normally means that they're definitely being exploited in some way, either by their parents or who knows, by someone else. That's the worst thing that we can see here.
Now is the mosquitoes, but
Oh yeah.
it's the only thing that is bad.
We're feeling that right now,
Yeah.
right here by the river.
Can you drink water from the tap?
Yeah, the water in Skopje is very clean, both from the tap and from these public water fountains.
Yeah. It's so cold. Where is the best place to stay in the city?
Anywhere near the river, basically, you're gonna be good.
Yeah. Near to this zone. It's a good idea.
Yeah. You can walk and see everything within like an hour from one end of the old bazaar to the other end of the new city.
Dale like si te gustó o dale dislike si no te gustó.
Y suscríbete.
Porque vas a amar el siguiente. Adiós.
Ciao.